from Uptown New Orleans. Hello, I'm Grant Morris. Happy Hour is part of the family of shows on the podcast network. It's neworleans.com. When you walk into a bar in New Orleans and you pull up a bar stool, you never know who's going to be sitting on either side of you. What you do know is no matter what they look like, what they're wearing, whether they just got out of a limousine or just got out of jail, they're going to be happy to talk to you because that's New Orleans, and this is Happy Hour, a cocktail-fueled 60 minutes of random conversation with folks who have nothing in common. Other than we're all New Orleanians in a bar today, we're at the fabulous Wayfair on Ferret Street in Uptown New Orleans. Wayfair is a couple of blocks down from Napoleon Avenue, right across from the European Wax Center. Actually, guys, are you interested in waxing? Anybody?
Got any coupons?
Yes, actually, the first time at the European Wax Center is free. I went over there one time and told them I mentioned you so many times on the show. Could you give me some free coupons to give away to people who come on Happy Hour? And they said it's free the first time you come here anyway.
Great.
So you want to get a beard
full body.
Full body wax.
Going full.
Okay, so that's free for you.
Wow.
This is John Paul Carmody from the band South Jones you listen to. You've got a lot of hair to wax off.
I do. Well, none of this is going to get touched.
That's all going to stay?
I'm gonna everything else.
Okay. And Jackson Purvis is here too, also from South Jones. So there's three of you guys in the band, right?
Yes.
So what happened to the third guy?
There's like 6 different versions of that third guy.
It's a rotating guy.
It's like Spinal Tap.
Yeah.
And he's a drummer.
Yeah, no, Jackson's the drummer.
Oh, you're the drummer.
I'm the drummer,
I
yeah.
take it back. Sorry.
The bass player.
No. Bass player.
Bass players are goofy.
So, really? You have trouble? Michael Anderia's here. You are a bass player, right?
I do play bass.
Now, you play bass in a band called the Hellbenders, is that correct?
Louisiana Hellbenders.
Louisiana Hellbenders.
Johnny Angel and Eldorado.
Are you in Johnny Angel?
Are you in Brother Nutria still?
And Brother Nutria as well.
I love Brother Nutria.
Actually, how many bands are you in? There? 3 then?
A few of them, yeah.
And then you do a few other things as well.
Yes,
so
I
we'll
do.
get to those in a minute.
Yeah,
And
but I just want to say
Yes,
that I
go
have a
ahead.
hard time calling myself a musician amongst these 3 right here. They're like
Well, these guys
they're PhDs, and I'm in kindergarten by comparison.
Well,
I'm just
you
saying.
you
make
will-
fart noises with our mouth. Come on.
And Andrew Duhan is here, of course, is
Hey,
my
dude.
co-host and also a singer-songwriter. In part-time when he's not here on the 20.
And you know what
23
else?
hours a day. What?
I bought a van today.
You did it.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
What kind of van?
So jealous.
It's a Chevy Express, standard issue.
Okay.
I was really hoping it wasn't going to be a white plumber van, but that's what it is.
That's what it is. You ended up with a white, is it?
I did.
Those are the best.
Well, it's my first van. We've been doing the SUV and trailer for a long time, and I was looking at nicer, cooler things, but this is a cheaper, this is my first foray into the van life.
Are you going to mod it out?
That's a good question. I have some ideas. I think a backup camera is a good idea. I don't want to kill an old lady with this thing. And
Can you get those retrofitted, a backup
yeah,
camera on
absolutely.
you?
Yeah, the ones in the rear view mirror, really easy. Just
Wow.
a new rear view mirror.
Yeah.
But I bought it actually from the guys in Gravity A, so it's their old van.
I know that van.
Yeah.
But it smells
I know that
fantastic.
van.
Actually, they did a good job cleaning it up. You'd be surprised. It's all
Why are they
right.
selling it? Are they
Surprisingly,
upgrading?
some
like rock
clean
and roll.
boys.
They're not hitting the road as much anymore. So
Okay.
getting rid of the
So
van.
does this
Danny's
thing-
out on the road way too much.
Exactly.
Does that,
That's crazy.
does that look like a sort of like the child molester van we were talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah,
It
yeah.
does.
Well, you'd like less windows in the back, I think, if you're going to molest children in it.
I don't think it's like, I think it's
So,
fewer windows.
Right.
Is it less,
Thank you, JP. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
is it less windows or fewer windows?
Yeah, fewer feels
Fewer
better.
windows.
Yeah.
So you can see right in here. So if you're
Right.
picking up 8-year-olds, it's not going to
It
work
was
out
also
too well.
it was also recommended.
Can we go back to waxing? I was much more comfortable with that conversation. Although the idea of JP waxing his body was uncomfortable,
Yeah.
but
Right.
that
Let's
was
see how much more
less
uncomfortable.
I see you have a lot of tattoos up here
I do.
on your chest.
Actually,
Yeah, I
didn't know that
did
you had the
not
chest
mean
tattoos.
to.
Those are pretty
Yeah,
sweet,
I did
Doc.
not mean to switch the conversation.
No,
over to
that's
me.
okay.
I wanted to go back to JP's body hair.
Well, I was going to talk about your body hair. How does that work with the tattoos and the chest hair? Do you have to shave it off or what?
Yeah, I mean, I'm fortunate. I'm of Jewish descent from North Africa, so by definition, we have a lot of hair. So I'm
So you're
fortunate
like
to
an-
not
that's a
heck
have
of a mix.
You're an African,
didn't know that
you're an
about you. I
African
didn't
Jew.
either.
I'm an African Jew. Yeah.
That's a pretty small minority.
Yeah, that's
isn't
a
it?
very, very small minority.
Are you from
Yeah.
Ethiopia or somewhere?
No, from North Africa, from
What is that?
Morocco.
Morocco?
So yeah, Ethiopia is East Africa.
Oh, is it?
So North Africa.
Can't believe I
Learn
didn't
something
know that.
new every
Can you-
day.
So your family's from North Africa?
Yeah,
From Morocco?
Yeah, I'm first generation American. Both
Are
my,
you serious?
Yeah, but
That's
you know
so
how
cool.
it goes. I mean, like the Spaniards kicked the Jews out of Spain during the Inquisition.
Yeah.
They all went down to Morocco. Some went to different parts of the world, and my family ended up in Morocco for 500 years.
500?
Yeah.
And they happened to move in the year 501 to New Orleans or
Yeah,
somewhere,
well,
or Los Angeles.
my dad grew up watching westerns, and so he wanted to move to Los Angeles, and so
I don't
that's
know
how
whether
I ended
that's
up in
bad luck or
LA.
good luck.
Yeah, well, it's
Is that-
interesting luck. I will
Wouldn't
say
you
that.
think growing up in Morocco would be cool too, though?
Yeah. I mean, I'm the only American of my family. I will say that. So my family, and whenever we're around for family gatherings, they're like, "Oh, you're so American." You know, my family's so European or so North African.
I wondered how you got a wacky name.
I was the only one.
Well,
That's where my French name comes
That's
from.
where Marc Alain comes
That's where
from.
Marc Alain comes from. Yeah.
I was wondering how you got a wacky name like that when you're from LA.
But back to waxing, though.
well,
and
we'll get back to
JP.
waxing in a minute. So what does that mean to be Jewish from North Africa?
I'm an atheist,
Are you-
so I call myself a Jutheist, a Jewish atheist.
So you're not-
culturally Jewish, but totally atheist.
What about
I'm a
North Africa?
Catholickist.
You're what?
A
You're an
Catholic.
ex-Catholic?
Get in that vein, then.
Are you a lapsed Catholic? You don't have anything to do with it?
No, no, not anymore. I had 12 years of school of it, like growing up.
12 years
not
a
like,
slave?
Yeah, well, yeah. And, it was a good education.
Where did you
stuff.
grow
I
up?
started asking questions. In Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, really?
I moved to New Orleans 2008 when I was like 20.
I would have thought New Orleans would be more of a Catholic town than Omaha, Nebraska.
It
That
is.
sounds
but
like more of a Bible
Omaha-
belt.
Yeah, I mean, Nebraska has its the Bible Belt has fingers everywhere.
Right.
So.
Isn't 311 from Omaha, Nebraska?
They sure are, Grant. I was waiting for you to say something.
Do you know those?
That's his favorite fact.
Does everybody ask you about that?
No, but I said something
brings
about
it up
to
to
my.
everyone.
I said something about it to my girlfriend the other day, and I thought she was going to think that was way cooler, and she's just like, kind of.
Is it over for
Brushed it
311
off.
now? Yes, probably long.
No, they're kicking ass. I mean,
Are they still going?
They do the 311 days, down here, don't they? Still.
I don't know if they do it. They didn't do it here last year, but we saw them in the. I think they've downgraded to like the.
Oh, God.
Just a click
It
below
was
the
so
arena now.
exhausting going to that. It was 5 hours.
It's 5 hours because they play all of their songs.
Every song.
Yeah.
Do they really?
It was amazing.
On March the 11th.
On March the 11th, it's every other year.
Wow.
Every other year they do it. The first time I saw them, they played 78 songs and took
crazy.
They took like
You
one
get ear
10-minute break.
nausea, you know.
Wow.
And that's the thing because like I mean I like 311 as much as any dude that grew up in the 90s does, but I think when you go to the show. You get so much 311 that you're like, all right, well, I don't need to listen to this band for another year and a half. We're good.
So let me ask you this: is there any truth that the ICD-9, which is the medical code for manic depression, is 311? Is that a?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay, I always just kind of assumed that
People
was,
assumed that it was the area code, but the area code's 402.
Right. I always
I
just
don't
assumed
know.
it was the.
Are you serious? You come from there and you're a giant fan and you go to all these concerts. You don't know where they got the
I've
name.
never-
Isn't it in the
I've never asked them
Wikipedia?
before.
No, wait, what? No, that's what.
C-Rock will tell us in 5 seconds.
You ever heard this other one that it's, I don't want to say it because
What?
it's scandalous. 311 is KKK.
I've heard that too because K
yeah,
is the 11th
KKK.
letter of the alphabet, and then 3 of them.
Sounds like
so-
someone in the KKK made that
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
I got it.
I like the manic depression.
Yeah, I do too.
better.
That's
Well, I want
They
to
keep race
That's more
mostly
cryptic,
out
that's
of their
cool.
songs, unless Amber is race.
no, it's a color of
It's
your
more,
energy.
yeah, more
Yeah.
of a color.
C-Rock, have a look on Wikipedia and see where 311 comes from. The name, it must be on Wikipedia, sure. What does ICD-9 mean?
So every medical condition has a code
Right.
that is for billing purposes, insurance purposes, and just kind of general statistics. And back in the day, the ICD-9, we're at ICD-10 now. And
I
so
thought this was the DSM-4.
that's for
DSM
yeah. Well, there's a
psychiatric.
that's for psychiatric.
So what's ICD stand for?
The I
Who
and
knows,
C and
but
a D,
that's-
yeah,
yeah.
some intercategorical diagnosis,
All right,
something
I'm
or
ready.
other. I don't know.
That's for non-psychiatric.
No.
category.
The DSM is actually a guide to help you diagnose psychiatric conditions. There are no particular labs that for psychiatry. So for me, I'm an HIV doctor. I can go and check some labs and be like, you have HIV. Here are the labs to show that you have HIV. Or you had a heart attack. Here are the labs to show you have a heart attack. For psychiatric conditions, that doesn't exist.
Right.
So there's a book that helps you kind of, that's okay, for this condition, you need to have these
It's like a checklist of
symptoms.
symptoms,
Basically, that's
right.
what it is.
Okay.
And so that's the DSM.
Okay, so the ICD-9 is...
Well, we're at 10,
10
now.
now.
Yeah, the ICD-10
So I have to
is
cross out
basically
10.
a collection of...
It's one better.
Yeah,
Grant, I have
that's it.
to set the record straight.
Yes. Zero.
So the band's original guitarist was arrested for streaking, and the police code for indecent exposure in Omaha, Nebraska is 311.
Thank you, Siroc.
That is fantastic.
I knew Siroc.
I
cannot believe that I was
specific to Omaha, Nebraska. Like
Yeah.
the 311 code doesn't
Maybe
exist
he
anywhere else.
should have. He
If
should
I
have been.
streak in New Orleans, it's a different code
Right.
or something.
Maybe
Well,
it's a.
I'm sure they all...
I bet they don't have a code
Yeah,
for that.
police have their individual...
Well,
It's just Tuesday.
It depends. Is it 311 and you've been waxed? Then that would be.
Yeah.
That's how that
All
works.
Back to it.
Okay, so that's interesting. Thanks, Siroc. Okay, so you're an HIV doctor, no?
I am, yeah.
You mean you
this is
treat-
World AIDS Week right now, so.
Hey, happy
This is-
World...
yeah, well, happy.
It's
Yeah, this is
Hanukkah.
the
It's
celebration.
Hanukkah, which is good for you North
Which I
African
had actually
Jews.
no idea. Like Liana, actually, my wife had to remind me that it was.
Is she
Hanukkah.
Jewish as
Yeah,
well?
she is. She's like me. She's
So
a
you
Jew
you
theist.
married in. That's
I did.
nice,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
your parents
that was
would
good.
prefer that.
That's a whole other story of parents and stuff.
Where,
Beyond that.
where is she from?
She's from
Mrs.
California as well.
Is she?
Yeah.
Did you meet here, or did you
We
guys
met here.
move here?
Yeah. She came here in 2003. I came here in 2005, and we just met soon after, and that was it.
And she's a
Te-
doctor too?
No, she's the deputy chief of staff for Mayor Cantrell. So she's a very serious person.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Oh,
unlike,
you guys are
unlike
like a
me.
power couple.
No. Unlike me, I'm like, I'm 50 going on 15. She's
She's the serious half
she's a
of the
very
family.
serious person, and the mayor is also great too. She's a big supporter of HIV as well. So this is World AIDS Week, and
Okay.
we are celebrating a lot of really positive things about HIV. The
Well, it
days
is. Positive is not a good word to use
no,
after the word
positive is
HIV.
no.
We'd rather
HIV is
be
a good.
HIV
It's a good
negative.
thing. No. Even if you were, listen, if I had an option between cancer, diabetes, and HIV, I'd take HIV in a hot second.
Okay, let's go
Just
around
because-
the table. Cancer,
Yeah.
diabetes,
And then I'll
or
prove
HIV.
And
I
then
would
I'll
take
prove
diabetes.
you.
I'm not
you-
sure I don't have all of those. Who knows?
Which one, Andrew? Which one do you want? Cancer, diabetes, or HIV?
I'm going to listen to the doc. I mean, if he's
That's a smart.
He's
What
gonna
are you
lay it out
supposed
for
to?
us.
On the
Are you taking
table, so-
cancer?
No way.
HIV,
Okay.
I'm going
Yeah,
with
why
the
is
cancer.
HIV superior to diabetes?
because diabetes, you have very high risk. It's very unpredictable, and and it's also genetically prone as well. So
Okay.
either type 1 or type 2, and you have very high risk of losing vision, kidneys, heart disease, this sort of stuff, and also your extremities, gangrene. Cancer will kill you. I mean, pancreatic cancer, you have 3 months. Lung cancer, and there's lots of cancers. We are able to cure a lot of cancers, but not all of them. But depending on the cancer, and then HIV is incredibly predictable. Lots and lots of data to show that people who have HIV now are expected to live the life expectancy of people who don't have HIV just by taking one pill once a day. Give me HIV. I'll take it.
Okay, I'm in. How do I get it?
Hey, is that how far we've come? I gotta ask,
Thomas.
is that how far we've come in 25 years? Because HIV used to be a death sentence.
Yeah, we've come a long way, and that's why I say we celebrate World AIDS Day or World AIDS Week. It is a celebration. I mean, there's a lot to look back and think about and honor those people who've actually died from AIDS. But
Yeah.
moving forward, we're in a much, much better position than we've ever been in, and we're really able. I mean, we're so good right now with HIV that I'm actually focusing a lot of my energies on structural racism associated with HIV and structural racism and misogyny and HIV. I mean, that's how we're able to kind of manage where we are with HIV. We're able to
Right.
shift our attention
I
a
was
little
just
bit.
thinking the same thing, that I could be an HIV doctor if you just have one test and then one pill.
There you go. All
Somewhat,
right, we can.
right? We can
Hey,
all-
go
we can
hang
all
the
be-
shingle. Let's see how
I mean,
fast that
But
goes
is that,
for you.
is that what it is? Someone comes in, they do a blood test, you say you've got HIV, and you give them one pill, and that's it?
Sure, there's obviously a
gotta
little
be
bit more
something
complicated
more
than
to it,
that. Yeah, I may be oversimplifying it a little
Okay,
bit, but
so-
we are on radio, and I wanted to keep things.
You want to make HIV sound more positive than diabetes
There
and
you
cancer.
go, there you go.
But is it
It's-
that simple for real? Honestly,
I mean,
not that
it's
simple.
not that simple. I mean, obviously, but it is simple. I mean, for people living with HIV, when I have to give a diagnosis, which I do more regularly than I want to, and that's because we live in a city that has very, very high rates of HIV, and that goes back to the structural racism that we were talking about a moment ago.
Well, we actually stopped. We weren't talking about it. You just mentioned it. What does that mean?
So, I mean, if you look at the reasons why New Orleans has the highest rates of HIV in the country, the
Does it?
reason, yeah, it
Let's
does.
stop right there
We're
for a
number
second.
2.
Wow, really?
Yeah, Miami number 1 and Baton Rouge usually number 3. So
you
we have some of the
serious?
highest rates.
Wow, Miami,
of-
New Orleans, and then Baton Rouge.
and Baton Rouge, right? So these, what do they all have in common? They're in the Deep South. right? And so when you look at the risk factors include high rates of illiteracy, and also we teach children abstinence-only sexuality education in the state of Louisiana. So we tell kids that are going to go out and have sex, don't have sex.
Just don't have sex.
Right. And we don't teach young people how to care for themselves. We have the highest rates of homelessness. We have the highest rates of poverty, including childhood poverty, including in New Orleans, 40% of kids that are being raised in New Orleans experience food insecurity.
40%.
Right. We have the highest rates of other sexually transmitted infections, including syphilis and gonorrhea. And then we have the highest rates of incarceration in the world. And those are all examples of structural racism. These are all processes that date back to Jim Crow laws. And so this is why you see these high rates of HIV affecting the South, but particularly in communities of color in the South.
Wow.
So I didn't mean to.
Well,
I'm great at parties. You guys, people love me at parties, especially when I see we have the highest rates of gonorrhea in the country.
That's a very shocking statistic.
Right.
And what is the connection between gonorrhea, syphilis, AIDS, and all these other structural
So I mean, yes, of
homelessness,
course.
poverty,
Sex
poor
and being
education?
poor.
So when there is an STI, we refer to them as sexually transmitted infections, an STI, that literally increases the risk of HIV just because of physical damage to the genitalia and the mucosa as a result of the other STIs, and then also it serves as a risk factor in that for whatever behaviors put you at risk for that STI in the first place, also puts you at risk for HIV acquisition as well. When you are looking at other links of poverty and of incarceration, these are all elements that just are putting individuals at risk for behaviors, and this is why we have such higher rates of HIV.
Not only do we have high rates of HIV, but according to this information I have in front of me here, which comes from your website at Tulane University, where you're a professor of medicine, it says it's startling to consider that 1 in 5 people living with HIV are unaware of their status. So 20% of this highest...
So in New Orleans, we actually are the highest in the country of the number of people living with HIV who don't know they have HIV, and so that number goes from 20 to 25%, and so that means 1 in 5 to 1 in 4 people who have HIV don't know they have HIV.
I'm thinking it's one of us.
Go get tested,
Jackson.
And everybody needs to go and be tested.
Do we?
And those individuals. So here's the other big good news of HIV. So this is why we should be celebrating World AIDS Week, is that when people are tested for HIV and are starting to get treated for HIV, it can bring your viral load to undetectable levels. And when your viral load is down to undetectable levels, you don't transmit virus to your intimate partners. So we can actually stop HIV just by getting everybody tested and then getting everybody treated, because then they don't transmit HIV to their partners.
What
so
is
that's
the
a really big
definition
deal.
of tested? How do we get tested?
So it's you
Is it
can
a
come to
simple
my
blood
clinic.
test?
It's a simple little. We do these swabs. I mean, in fact,
not
I've
even
been
a blood
I've been
test?
doing these for 10 years. I mean, JP, you've been to the HAMP shows in the past. Have you been to any of the HIV awareness music projects or? So for 10 years, we've been doing these HAMP shows where we do these HIV testings live. We do these mock testings on stage.
This is a rock
These are
concert?
these rock concerts. We're at our 10th annual. We're doing our 10th annual this Saturday at Siberia Lounge, and now we're of course are associated with WHIV, the radio station, and the idea is either to do these swabs, or you can do these little finger pricks, and then these little finger tests. It's just 1 drop of blood, and they're called Insti tests. They're called Instis.
Like a color thing or something?
Yeah, and it's like a little color. You just drop it onto 1 drop of blood into a little disc, and it takes 1 minute to filter through, and
it tells
if
you
it's
if you have
positive,
HIV
it tells you
or
if you
not.
have HIV or not. Yeah.
Well, that's a real party favorite.
I was on the committee to help name it. I wanted them to call it the Quickie, but I got ruled against it. No, that's a joke.
It's called an Insti.
That's a good joke, though.
It's an Insti, right?
And how much does it cost to get an Insti?
Well, they're free.
They're
So
free?
yeah, anywhere you go
So
to
why
get
wouldn't
HIV tested.
Why wouldn't they give it to you when you go to the doctor or you go to the dentist?
They should. One of my jobs.
Did you
here
know
is-
they existed until about 30 seconds ago, Grant?
Nope. Have you ever heard of that, you
I'm
guys?
sure that's a reason, right?
Right.
I knew he did that. I was sort of aware of that, but
No,
Jackson, have you ever been Instied or heard of it?
I mean, I've had an HIV test in the past few years. I didn't know that there was like they had the awesome name for it. So.
Sure.
Andrew, you ever heard of it?
No, but I think it should be like $10 in advance 20 at the door, 15 at the door if you get an insti. You know?
Well, that's what we've done that before in East Africa. We've done that in East Africa where we had these concerts.
Are you working with Andrew Ward on these things?
Well, Andrew and I used to work together. So Andrew and I started that together, and so we took that whole HAMP concept, and Andrew and I went out to East Africa to do that in East Africa.
He's been giving people circumcisions.
Yeah. So that just kind of that's when I stepped away and kind of moved and focused more on WHIV, and he focused more on some of that.
Because he was working with you at WHIV.
Yeah, he was.
That's right. He was the sort of program director.
Right, exactly right.
So WHIV is a radio station. If you don't know what this is, it's a community radio station out of New Orleans that is I guess it's a community station that has programmed for the community, right?
Right.
How do you describe it?
I often describe it as programming dedicated to human rights and social justice.
Okay.
So the other way I describe it is that you always hear about the liberal media. Politicians always talk about the liberal media. I actually never can find it. I've never seen it. I never actually heard it. So I decided to create it myself.
You are the liberal media.
So now we are the unapologetic progressive and liberal media. I was embarrassed when Ted Cruz said the liberal media and he had nothing to point to. I was embarrassed for him. So now he can point to that little radio station at WHIV and talk about the liberal media.
It is pretty wacky calling a radio station WHIV, but now I sort of see it makes sense in context of what you're talking about, why you did that.
Well, you started it on AIDS Day too, as well.
World AIDS Day about 4 years ago. So we're 4 years in, and I had 3 letters to choose from. So that was easy, right? The W was fixed, so I got to name the station, and the idea was to name it WHIV, not so much because, yes, I'm an HIV doctor, and yes, my profession is dedicated to HIV and people living with HIV, but it was to be able to have people like JP, who was a DJ on WHIV, to say WHIV.
You've been a DJ on WHIV, and your name's JP.
Yeah.
Okay.
And be able to say, you're listening to WHIV over and over again, and hour after hour, day after day, week after week, year after year. That's going to destigmatize. How do you destigmatize a stigma? You repeat the word and you take the power out of that word. And so that was another reason. But really, I would have called it W, Human Rights and Social Justice, but I couldn't name it that because when we're talking about HIV, what we're really talking about is poverty. And when we're talking about poverty, what we're really talking about are all issues dealing with human rights and social justice. So that's why I
you
named
make
it
those
WHIV.
connections because you know what you're talking about. I've never heard that connection before. I think most people would never make that association.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I didn't. So, when I named it WHIV, I had no idea it was going to cause a ripple. I just thought I just seemed because it's so normal in my life, right?
It's interesting because when I was on there too, I at first, my friends, when I would tell them I had a radio show on WHIV, they'd be like, "What?" And I'd be like, "Yeah, it's WHIV." But then the more I would say it and stuff like that, that's what happened. It was weird. It was like, oh, I don't know why I ever thought that was a bad thing, because it's not a pejorative thing or anything. It's just a scientific term for a virus, or
you're right. That's exactly right.
And so why have the stigma behind it and make it this big scary thing? Because we're learning that it's not. And so that happened with me, and it's just kind of an interesting phenomenon.
What did you do? What show did you do on there?
I had a show called Orleans Parish Line, and I played music. It was great. It was just
Orleans Parish Line.
Orleans Parish Line. It was our buddy Jimmy Palacios, who's on the board over there at WHIV. He started it, and then I was a co-host with him, and then I just took the show over, and I interviewed musicians and stuff, and played music. It was great.
So we can hear this live on the internet as well, obviously. If you go to WHIV.org.
And I think you've been on WHIV, Andrew.
You were on there?
I haven't, not live, but Jimmy has played my tunes for sure. And
you've never been in the studio?
Yeah, it's great.
And you know what? I have to give a shout out to Jimmy too, because he hit me up at during Jazz Fest last year and was like, "Hey, I love this new record. Do you have any radio campaign thing going on?" And I said, "No, I don't have time, don't have the bandwidth to do a radio campaign." He said, "Come on over," and he just he has all the labels printed out, and I just bring over the records, and we have this mail stuffing session with Jimmy.
Oh, right, I remember that.
Cool.
Yeah, you guys did
Jimmy
that
really
together.
is, dude. I've
called him. He's one of the best people. You got to get him on
I've referred to him as the politician for the politician
of
the hip for
underground mayor of New Orleans.
He really is, man. Yeah.
What's his name, Jimmy?
Jimmy Palacios.
He's
a badass.
He has a show called NOLA County, and he's on the board of directors, and he's been with WHIV from almost the get-go. We went on air on December 1st. I think he joined us in January or February, just a month or two later.
And who's paying for WHIV? Is it Is it is it donations, or it's all coming out of your?
No,
salary from
it's all donations, and so we have a very robust membership. We're constantly looking for members. If you're looking to become a member, it's Support Community Radio. We would love to have that.
So is it tax deductible?
Yeah, of course.
So
we're nonprofit. This is a good time.
Money.
That's absolutely right. So if anybody's interested, can I do a quick plug?
Yes, of course you can.
WHIV, WHIVFM.org and click donate. We're happy. All donations to WHIV are all tax deductible, and they help keep progressive voices and dissenting voices on air, because in the Deep South there are no other progressive and dissenting voices like ours.
No.
We don't have any. We're not incumbent, or we're not. Nobody pays us to say anything. So and then whatever at the end of the month, whatever is not paid off, we just find ways to cover to get it paid for.
It's pretty expensive running up. Did you guys get paid a lot of money to do DJ over there?
Nope, but it was all for the love of the game.
Can I say it? JP's parents were early members.
My
Mom and Dad.
parents are very, very supportive.
They're incredibly supportive. They send money. They send money.
How do you know that? Just
through me, and then they love Mark Allen. They're just like, I just love his radio station.
Wow,
he's such a wonderful
Jackson,
guy.
where are your parents from?
South Mississippi.
Yeah. And are they putting any money into the
no,
HIV station?
We can make that happen, Jackson.
Well, look,
oh my gosh,
if you could get my father to donate to anything that you're about, man. Dude,
is he a Fox News sort of guy?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
All right.
He's a Fox News sort of guy. He's a wonderful man, but we differ on a lot of things.
What does South Mississippi mean? Sort of like North Morocco?
I'm about
Hattiesburg.
It's the opposite of North Morocco, I would say. It's I come from a small town.
What's it called? Where are you from?
Ellisville, Mississippi.
Ellisville.
In Jones County.
Wow.
About 2
Jones
hours
County
northeast
is actually pretty
of here.
progressive as far as Mississippi's concerned.
Have you been to Jones County?
I have hung out in Jones County before.
Did you hang out with Jackson in Jones County? Is that what you're getting at?
I don't. That's news to me, brother.
Thomas, what were you doing in Jones?
So Jones County, if I'm not mistaken, was the county in Mississippi that abdicated from the Confederacy during the Civil War.
Well, it's funny that you say that.
It's funny you should say that.
Huh.
Did you know that South Jones's first EP was a concept record about that very topic?
There you go.
Come
no,
on.
I was not aware of that. Of course.
Talking of which, it might be time to hear a little something from South Jones, or the two-thirds of South Jones. Why don't we play something?
Okay.
Yeah, we have like an instrument mic here, which we can turn around. Put on the guitar. I can swing this mic around as
Let's do
well.
Gaucher, since we might only get to do the one.
Yeah.
What are you thinking of playing here?
We're going to play something off our new record. We have a new record called Room to Breathe that we got done recording in August. And it's 100% done, and we're waiting to release it.
What are you waiting for?
We have a possible record deal kind of promotion thing in the works, and so we're just kind of waiting.
That's exciting.
No news is good news.
Yeah, no, we can't. We don't want to. We don't want to talk about that.
Capitol
right now.
Records knocking on your door.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that.
Okay.
But it's pretty.
Something
We're pretty
like that.
excited, and so we're just kind of waiting and seeing what comes.
It's one of
it.
those things that takes time. It's our first. We're used to dealing with music and musicians and venues and where everything kind of works at a certain pace, whereas the music industry, like the industry side of it, just moves at a much different, more.
Nobody else is on your schedule.
It's a learning experience for us all, but we're lucky to be here, and we have a really great record on our hands.
So the song, the album's called Room to Breathe, and what's the song called?
This is called Gaucher Blues. So Jackson, his Gaucher, Mississippi is what it refers to. Jackson's grandmother has a place out in Gaucher.
We'll camp on the bayou.
And we have gone out there on a few occasions for like a writing retreat. And when we first were probably 2 years ago now, when we were starting this new record, we went there to kind of kickstart the creative process. And this was the first song that we wrote after a long night. And no air conditioning in the thing. And it was a long night tough. Because it may have been, fueled by our own ingestion of certain things.
There were some things.
There were some things.
There were some things involved.
It was eye-opening, to say the least. And we wrote this song as we were
trying to write another song. Like we'd gone in and we'd, because we, we're rock and roll band. So like we'd go out to make rock and roll songs and we'd sit down and we'd play some riffs and no. And so we'd go sit outside and have a cigarette and have a beer, and we just kept coming back to this little thing that was kind of like not a rock and roll song at all. It's definitely more of a lullaby than anything else, and kind of became the muse for the weekend.
Mm-hmm. So is this pot or acid, or what are we talking about?
It was acid.
It was acid.
Acid. It was acid. It was a fair amount of it as well.
And my first time actually too. So it was
it
was incredible.
Yeah, it was a good time.
And so this is what you write sometimes
It's
after
an
experience
song
like
about
that.
Goshen, Mississippi.
Kind of.
Well, it's about a lot of things.
It's about a lot of things, yeah. So it goes like this. Wake up at the crack of dawn, get the empties off the lawn. We got time that don't look back, 'cause we got songs to track. It ain't an easy thing to do when you're living the Goshen blues, waiting on the storm to come. Don't worry, it won't be long. Lay your weary head to rest, feel the breeze instead. It ain't an easy thing to do when you're missing the Goshen blues. Holding on to yesterday, that old rocking chair is running around in circles as a means to pass the time, but it won't get you anywhere. No, it won't get you anywhere, 'cause that's too easy a thing to do when you're missing the Goshen blues, waiting on the storm to pass. I know now it won't last. Even though the sun is gone, you still got time to write your song. It can be an easy thing to do when you're needing the Goshen blues. Oh, keep the faith in what you sing, even when you pine for rain. Verses come and verses go, but you can always come back home. It ain't an easy thing to do, an easy thing to do, such an easy thing to do when you're missing the Goshen blues.
Now, you claim that's not a rock song?
Well, we did Rockin' Up on the record.
No, the record version is
We South Jonesed it up.
There's a lot more to it on the record.
Yeah.
But that does sound like a rock song, doesn't it? You guys are musicians.
I guess it's in our blood.
Feels like rock to me, yeah.
Yeah.
Who played bass for the record?
All those 6 bass players.
I think there's
a lot.
technically four bass players on the record. There's Smitty Supop, who's a great bass player.
He's awesome.
Dave Parmalu from Johnny Sketch and the Dirty Notes. Will Repholz plays with our buddy
Rem Shannon,
Dave Jordan.
Jordan, he's great.
And Andre Bourne. Our Andre Bourne from Johnny Sketch and the Dirt Notes also produced the record. Shout out to Andre, did a great job. And
Did an amazing job.
And we went in that day to record this one song called "Handle Me," and he had helped us out with the song, the bridge anyway. And we had another bass player. I think we had one of the other three scheduled to come in, but they had gotten a gig last minute, so we were out of bass player. And Dre was like, "Well, I can play the bass a little bit. I'll just play with you guys as a placeholder, and then we'll come in and drop the bass in later." And we were like, I think we did like one take, and we were like, all right, well, you're just playing bass on this song. Like,
he was great,
he was really, I mean,
he's one of those musicians.
Yeah, like when Andre says he can kind of do something, he's like way better than you at it.
Very,
just go
very
ahead and assume
humble.
that. Yeah.
So this is a pretty interesting record by the sound of it here.
We're really excited about it.
We're so proud of it
Yeah.
just because we worked really hard on it, and it was our first experience with the producer, and kind of.
How exciting!
Have you had experience with producers and stuff? I'm sure, Andrew.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is, but to have somebody in the
It's just
room kind
like-
of steering the ship to,
It's
being,
like having a fifth member of the band right
Yeah,
there.
Such a load off you, you know.
really like seeing the edges of the thing when you're just
Yeah.
like really in there seeing track to track. They're trying to look at
Yeah.
it as a record, and they can help steer the ship that way.
Yeah, and Andre was just really great. He's
Yeah.
such a smart
so
guy.
smart.
And like every chance you get to just be around him when he
Kind,
talks, and
too,
like
he's
you
always
just want to be there,
positive. You know,
soak
it's
it
like
up.
the best kind of thing
How
you can
did
have
you
in a
find
studio.
each other, you guys? How you two found each other on Craigslist? I
We
saw
did.
that in the...
Missed connections.
Yeah, misconnect. Yeah. You saw me jogging one day.
Yeah.
But you actually did meet on Craigslist through band listing.
Yeah.
which is
I had moved here from college with a band, and we were here for a couple years, and then we split up, and I did some traveling, and I came back, and I wasn't really looking for anything for a while, because after the band broke up, I was just kind of after if you've been with a band for a long time and then you break up, it's just kind of like, ugh, I don't want to be with anybody else for a little while. But
It's
after
like any
that,
relationship.
It's like a relationship.
it's in any relationship, yeah. And so like
it's so weirdly similar.
And
Yeah.
so, after a while, I was like, okay, I'm ready to do this.
Ready
and
to get back
I'm ready
out
to
there.
get back on the horse, as they say. And so, yeah, I put out an ad on Craigslist, and I was just like surfing Craigslist, and found somebody that was looking to like expand their acoustic outfit into a bigger band, and I emailed that person and met with that person, and then came to an audition with that, or like a session with that person, and he had another guitar player with him, and that other guitar player was JP.
And what happened to the original?
Well,
person?
it
was a good band.
It was a good. It was a
a
fun
cool
band.
band.
It was a great band. We just it just went other directions, and like through the songwriting process with that band, I think JP and I realized that like we had a little bit more of
Going
something
on, and
going
these guys
on
were just losers.
than
We were-
well, I mean, they're not losers at all. But
No,
they
they're
but
good.
All's
Great
fair in
folks.
love and
And
rock
also-
bands, guys. You don't have to feel guilty.
And-
about it. It's great.
Yeah. I think so too. But like, they weren't like, shitheads or anything. We
No, they've gone on
we
to
just
do their-
always like when we go out for smoke breaks and stuff, we'd be talking about like how much we love riffs and
Yeah.
like all the bands
And we just
lined
wanted
up.
to do- we
and
just
we
wanted to take
to
things
So
in a
everyone
different
try a
went their
trio
separate
and
ways.
stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
We went
That's
lay
great.
with the point on that one.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But how did you meet Andre Bourne then? How did you get?
I went to I got my degree in music at University of New Orleans, and I graduated last year, and Andre graduated last year. I met him at he was in the
guys are both
music department too.
Graduates? Of the,
Yeah, and Andre, like,
So,
he's another person you should have on the show. He's one of the hardest working musicians in the city. He plays drums. He's a classical pianist. He produces a lot of records. He's just always working, and he's brilliant.
Yeah, he's great.
And Johnny Sketch and the Dirty Notes is a really big band in town, and they're awesome. Big
Yeah,
outfit,
they've been
rock,
really
funk
they've been
outfit.
really good to us as well.
Yeah, we went out to California with them recently
Okay.
to Laytonville to do a thing at the crawfish boil out there in like weed country, and it was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it was
No, it
amazing.
was-
a lot
yeah.
of drugs
It was
going on there
fantastic.
with South Jones. So who's doing the whole business side for you, putting together a record deal?
Oh, our engineer Mike Harvey, when we were going to release it, Jackson had booked a release date at Tipitina's, and Mike Harvey, who's Another amazing,
Also brilliant
brilliant musician.
He's
amazing.
This is the second record we did with
He's a
Mike
human
Harvey.
computer.
He's
you know,
insane, yeah.
he's insane, and he
in a good way.
in a great way.
obviously.
He's so smart and just wonderful. And this is our second record with him. And we were going to release it, and we were getting all of our ducks in a row. We had the record ready. We were going to press it and do everything. And Mike was like, "You guys should wait, and you guys should see if he had some contacts." He was like, "Let me send this record out," and because if you release it yourself, which we didn't know at the time, then we couldn't do anything, or a record company or someone who wanted to promote it couldn't do anything. They could maybe like talk to us about future projects, but they couldn't do anything with this record. And instead of just having a box of records in our living room, because nobody really, I don't know, it's better to
We wanted to
found out that
we wanted to make the most out of this. We kind of feel like this record is our it's really
breakout.
it's really good.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay.
And so we wanted to just kind of make the most out of this record. So we're doing the long term.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sitting and
give
waiting.
it the best
All right,
opportunity
cool.
it can. So,
We're
yeah.
looking forward to hearing it. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Talking of records, have you heard Andrew's new record?
I haven't, but
False
you come
River?
out with a new record
Excellent.
Dude, yeah, that's farcical. It took me 4 years to put this last record
Really?
out. Yeah. So
How many
I
records
just-
do you have?
3.5.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Didn't one of those get nominated for a Grammy?
Nominated for a Grammy. Yeah, best engineered album.
That's amazing.
That's fantastic.
That's a great album.
Trina Shoemaker produced and engineered it. Yeah.
But
So-
this new record, False River, is amazing.
Cool.
And I
you
don't
like
just
it,
say
Grant.
that because Andrew's sitting across the table.
No, Andrew's
it really
badass.
is.
I've listened to your
And
music
that's
for a long time.
That's a good
It's
intro
nice
for you to
meet
play something, actually, I think.
we can do.
Yeah.
Sure.
Grab the guitar.
yeah.
Okay, I'll keep talking.
Talk amongst
for a minute.
yourselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, will you give me one?
I'll keep. You want to go get another drink? Okay. All right, Michael, it's
While
just
we're
you and
setting
me
it up,
until
yeah,
Andrew.
I've got this club soda.
What do you need?
This is a club soda.
Are you drinking?
Yeah,
So
I'm
you're
still
on,
on
actually
call.
you're on call.
Yeah.
So what does that mean for an HIV doctor to be on call?
So that means that if people have any questions, if I have to go into clinic or if I have to take care of any patients after hours, I'm the person that just. So it's a rotating schedule,
So would
essentially.
you describe yourself as a overachiever, a Renaissance man, or what?
No, none of the above.
Because you do a whole lot. You got a lot of stuff going on. You,
Like it.
you play in three
if you heard the voices inside my head, they would disagree
Well,
with
how
all
do
of
you?
those.
What do you put it down to? This super drive. You're living a life of like three people.
Well,
You're
I
a
mean,
doctor. You're a professor at Tulane,
Right.
a medical professor.
Right.
You're a clinic doctor,
Right,
an HIV
right,
doctor.
right, doctor, right.
You run a radio station, which I know is like a full-time job. all by
Right,
itself.
right, but that's because
You're in
there's
a
just
number of bands.
Right. Well, I have no kids. And
Okay.
my wife is really busy, and so that's the
But this is-
ability
but-
to play
But
music.
all these things, it's not a normal person doesn't live like this.
I mean, look at the talent that's all around here, and
Yeah, but
look at what you've done.
yeah,
You've
most
done
of
an
us are doing-
amazing media empire yourself.
well,
and
yes, I'm running a media empire. I forgot
so
about that
there
bit,
you
yeah.
go.
But that
these
is
microphones.
extraordinary, the number of things that you're pulling off, though. Do you sleep much?
A couple hours every night.
Couple hours a night, really?
No, I sleep 5-6 hours. So
That's
a
not
good
bad.
amount. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a fair amount.
That's a decent amount.
Yeah. So
How many hours do you sleep, Andrew? Like,
Man, I put 7 in. You
7?
know, no problem.
All right.
7, knock them down.
are you taking any sleep aids?
No.
Do you have
I
trouble
just-
sleeping? Do you
no.
guys have trouble sleeping?
No, man.
I'm talking to a lot
I'm
of
becoming an
people.
old man, dude. I'm out at 9.
I
like,
think if I
that-
did
Yeah.
ever have to
Oh,
hard
yeah.
for
I look forward to it.
He's got to gig at 10 o'clock. He's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Start to get cranky.
right.
It's so funny. That's so true.
He's in the green room just yawning. You know?
It's like
I hate playing gigs.
why
It's
is
the
there
worst.
2 bands on this bill?
Hate being the headline band because you got to go on late.
I'm just a musician for the podcast.
Okay, Andrew, what are you playing?
I'll play you a song that didn't make any records. You know, there's like the songs that make the records and you pin them up on the wall. And then there's the songs that are just
One that got away.
the ones that get away. Maybe you sweep them up and you throw them away. Or maybe they're like that bobby pin that every time you sweep it up, you put it back in the little cubby that it falls out of. And then you pick it back up again, but it never goes anywhere. Anyway, here's one of those.
Deep bobby pin.
I believe love is just another form of energy. And just like energy, it could neither be created or destroyed, but only transferred, passed on through the centuries. The love between us, it don't belong to you and me. It's all hand-me-down love. It ain't nothing new. From your great-grandmother to your grandmother, to your mother, to you. It's all tried and true love. We could try it, no, but we'll always be made a fool of. And that's why I got to hand it to you, love. Who you gonna hand it on to? It's all hand-me-down love. It's a fear in me that makes me want to store it up. When I worry that there ain't enough, but all the more reason to pass it on, pass it out, spread it round. Just believe that it comes back around. Hey, you just got to trust. It's all hand-me-down love. Oh, it ain't nothing new. From your great-grandmother to your grandmother, to your mother, to you. It's all tried and true love. Yeah, I tried it new, but I've always been made a fool of. That's why I got to hand it to you, love. Who you gonna hand it on to? It's all hand-me-down, love.
Okay.
Dude,
Hand-me-down love. What a beautiful concept,
great
man.
concept.
Thanks,
That's
dude.
fantastic.
How did that one
Gorgeous.
get away?
Man, no kidding.
I think maybe it's the
that one.
first verse is a little geeky. I got to change the first.
I
one.
love that.
It's beautiful.
That was like the
It like-
thermodynamics.
Yeah,
of,
it was like
the law
it
of
was
thermodynamics.
nerdy,
right there.
smart. Like you got to know some stuff. to
Pardon
know,
me
you know?
saying, but you have to be geeky to get it. So
Come
thanks,
on,
fellas.
Yeah, great. No. Dude, that was beautiful. Wow.
Thanks, yeah. All right.
Well,
Geeks
I'm
love
glad,
love.
I'm glad
love love.
that
Geeks
we
love
didn't have to
love, too.
follow that because talking about picking
Get
up
outta here.
empties off
We
the
might
lawn
have
and
time
stuff
for
like
you
that.
to
That's right. That's right. We might have time to make
We
you
might have
follow
time
it.
to make you
yeah.
show.
That's right.
Well, no. Well,
Yeah.
you know,
Let's do.
Did you
I wanna
think?
hear another one?
No, but you guys, when Andrew finished singing that song, you guys are all like uplifted. I thought.
that was
Oh my God, that was
wonderful.
beautiful.
That was
Yeah.
so
It was
good.
really, really
Don't
great.
you think it's
Thank
sort
you.
of
It was
a-
gorgeous.
It
Isn't it
amazes
like a
me.
depressing? sort
It
of-
amazes me. Like songwriting's hard. You know, like if anybody's tried it, it's hard. And so anytime someone makes a song, I just kind of like, I love it automatically because someone started something and finished it. And when they're like good like that, it's just like, wow, that's such a hard
And
thing.
that's
to do.
it.
We should try to write a song together,
That would be
JP.
great.
Come on, dude.
I would
you
love
know?
to. Come write a song with Sal Jones.
I like opening my eyes too, as in dilating them. So we'll see what happens. You know,
Hey, we'll come out to go.
Come on out to Gaucher. Let's see what we can do.
Yeah.
that's the song. Come
I'm
on,
sure
out
Michael
to
Lang could
Gaucher.
get us some good drugs as well. You wouldn't have to buy acid.
That doesn't work.
We could
like
get
that.
legal drugs.
Doesn't work.
Do you
like
play
that.
guitar as well?
No, I play bass.
You don't write?
I do write.
What sort of stuff do you write?
Stuff that I keep. I don't take out.
You don't play.
I
You don't
don't
play us
play it
anything
out.
I can't talk you into.
No, I mean I've written I've written some songs that Brother Nutria has played. They're usually social justice minded or
Do you want to do a verse and
basically
chorus or something?
fuck you songs to people that have
Come
just
on,
been
pick up
terrible.
that
I
guitar.
can't even. I don't even. No, I don't know how to play. No. I seriously,
come on.
No. Seriously, I don't
Seriously.
know how to play. I can write lyrics but I
okay.
play bass. I mean You know, I grew up playing music, and then I went to medical school, and that was like 25 years of stopping playing music, and then just kind of one day waking up and saying I need to start playing music again. And that's all it was. And it's hard in this town. I mean, you guys are all fucking talented as fuck, man. Like Michael Harvey. When you play with Michael Harvey will look at you, man. If you're like half like that look of.
I started playing with him like years ago, and like remember when we first did it at Carrollton Station, we started playing with Nola County.
Yeah.
And like I thought it was gonna be kind of this jam thing, you know, and like
No.
I thought we were like in it. I thought we were in the zone having so much fun, and Mike Harvey's over there just like
that look.
And
I know that look. I know that look. I get that look
I still
all
get
that
those,
time.
but like they're few and far between now.
Because it's fear and disappointment.
Because
like you
he's
don't want to
made me a
disappoint
better
him,
musician, you know?
But like, because you feel like you shouldn't be there anyway because he's so damn good.
Right.
You know? And I know that look.
So you know, I've actually recorded with him, and then like 6 months later, he'll call me back, and he's like, you know, I've seen you play recently. You've gotten better. I want you to come back and lay those tracks down again.
Oh my God!
I swear to God.
Who is this guy? What does he do exactly?
He owns a recording studio in Mid City
Nola Recording Studios.
Nola Recording Studios. He's actually refurbishing the whole redoing the whole place right now. It's going to be amazing. Yeah.
Oh
I
man,
think he was
showed us the blueprints of it last night.
He was nominated for a Grammy too for Hot 8 Brass Band for
best regional roots record.
Regional roots record. And he's just really interesting. He teaches at Loyola. He teaches a music course there. He got his master's. He got his undergrad at Loyola and his master's degree at UNO and
Do you know this guy, Andrew?
violin performance.
I don't think so.
It's a guy we ought to know by this.
Yep. I think I might be heading his way soon.
Oh, yeah,
for
sweet.
some project actually.
Oh
But
yeah, if you get a
that's
chance
guess.
to be in his studio,
You'll
it'll spoil you.
Yeah,
he's
not sure, but
he's a gearhead, and he's
yeah,
got
yeah,
like
yeah. He's
tons
got-
of toys, and the coolest toys he's got in there, he made them.
Yeah,
You know,
he's
he
like
can
a-
tell you everything about
it's
everything.
Amazing.
Yeah, he's
Mike
Did
Harvey.
you guys record your second album there as
Yeah.
well?
Yeah.
And then you had then you had somebody else there working with
Andre,
Michael. Or?
It was cool because Andre was producing, so he was, song shape shifting and molding, and keeping spirits. And one thing that was really hard on the first record is Mike had to be both roles. He had to be engineer and producer, so he'd
Right.
stop and and he did a great job. But it just was amazing having Andre there because Andre knows a little bit about Mike's field. Mike knows plenty about Andre's field, and so they were just like
Yeah,
a
to
get
team. They
to
were
get
like
to see Mike Harvey
a well-oiled
just do
machine.
Just do the engineering part,
Just go full
and like
robot.
and Andre and Mike had developed a a rapport with one another, like a language, so they could communicate really really quickly back
was
and forth, and get
That
to
was,
see
like,
Mike
fun
Harvey
to
like
watch
just
that.
with two hands like
Yeah.
going
Oh, yeah.
at it. It was it's pretty amazing, and it made everything extremely efficient. I mean, albums take time to work, as anybody knows, but it was a very efficient process, and it was a great.
Yeah, Andre, you're gonna love it when you do work with them. You're gonna love them. It's great.
I hope it is true.
Yeah.
So what about your recorded work, Michael? And where do we find that?
So I think that there's some of the Johnny Angel and Eldorado stuff is available on all the streaming devices or all the streaming places.
steal
that
it off
you-
of Spotify
you do. Yeah,
and
you
so
can
on.
find that stuff out
Johnny
there.
Angel
so-
and Eldorado.
Yeah. So that's
So you're
that's
in
a
the
Western
Hellbenders
swing.
and Eldorado.
Right, so the Hellbenders is more of a recent addition, and play upright bass for them as well. They're Louisiana Hellbenders. They have one record out. The Dirty Rain Revelers also have a recent record out. They did that as a duo, husband and wife team, Matt and Melissa DeRazio, and so I play in their live shows. I'll play upright for them as well.
Do you know anything about North African food?
I'm
Do you
not
cook
much.
anything?
No, I'm not much of a food
You're not much of a-
person,
you're
and
not
I'm
much-
a vegetarian, and so food has never been my.
I
has
thought you
never
might know a
been-
place to go here where you would recommend where.
for North African
Yeah,
food.
like
No,
where
there's
would you go?
well, Saba is
Saba is so
Saba.
good.
I mean, so Alon
That's his-
Shaya,
like
his
his
grandma,
That's
Alon
Alon's new place,
Shaya,
right?
yeah, it's
So
Alon
good.
Shaya and his grandmother, my grandmother from more or less the same parts. They're both
really?
Sephardic Jews, and
Okay.
he calls it Israeli food, but I call it Moroccan food. His food is all stuff that I grew up eating. So when he had Shaya, when he was still doing Shaya, that was all just straight up Moroccan food, and then the same thing with Saba. So if you get a
Bet
chance to
both
go
are
there,
That's
they're
where I
really
recommend
great.
that.
Alon's,
Can I ask-
Alon's fantastic.
Is it true that if you go to Saba, you're supporting Alon Shaya and his?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
thing?
Shaya
Yeah,
is...
so-
Shia is
so
not
separated
good.
The
from
BRG,
going to Shia.
owns Shia now.
Right.
Shia's
so-
John Besh's restaurant.
Right.
Right.
Shia used to
They
work for
stole
John
his
Besh.
name.
And it's
Right.
still, yeah. It,
So yeah, if you want to support Shia, Alon
to
Shaya.
Saba. Go to
If you want
Saba.
to support Alon Shaya,
Yeah.
go to Saba.
Why isn't that more of a thing? Why aren't people talking about that?
Well,
Because, man,
they
that's the
have
easiest thing to dust under a mat and sucks.
Well, people
you
were
know?
talking about it initially when the
Yeah.
whole thing, they
They're
had a
talking about
falling
it
out.
more, but, you know.
Yeah.
I just why aren't there?
Well, no, it seems not fair that they stole his name.
Right.
And they have it on the restaurant, and you
Well,
see people
he
lined
owned
up
it.
outside.
Shia
He
opened
owned it
Shia.
with- Right.
He owned it with
the
Besh.
Yeah.
But then
It's just one of those
Besh
things you never think
allegations
that's
came
going to go.
out,
That's
and
going to
so
go bad.
Shia
Like, so
left
you
and
just
started Saba.
Well, he
use
must
your
have
name.
had a pretty bad lawyer.
Yeah,
I mean, I
mean,
think he's doing fine. He, you know, he
Yeah,
probably
I-
sold that name for a lot of money and
I don't
opened
know.
a new restaurant. I
It
don't
didn't
know.
look like it. It looked
It
like it
really-
was a pretty acrimonious split.
Well, I think the split was acrimonious, and then
Yeah, then they ended up keeping the name.
now
I
it's
think he
fine.
tried to get the name back off John
Right.
Besh, but Besh wouldn't give him the name.
Oh.
yeah.
And kept it as a brand.
Which
What a
seems kind of
shitty
slimy
thing.
to me.
Very
Yeah,
shitty.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
Well, this is
not
why people
Shia's fault that this thing is blowing up, and yet
Yeah.
Right.
he can no longer own
Right.
his surname as the place that he's building,
Right.
and that
not
just doesn't rub me right.
Well, it'd be like if we called this Andrew Duhon's Happy Hour.
Yeah.
And then you and I had us falling out, but I kept the name Andrew Duhon's Happy Hour.
And then you just
And I made millions
it
of dollars out of
Millions
it.
of
and-
dollars.
anti-Semitic
Yeah,
thing.
yeah,
and I don't
yeah.
have any.
Cry
It's
at
just
home,
ridiculous.
Andrew.
Yeah,
But this is why people
chauvinistic.
say bad things about John Besh all the time. That,
Right.
you know, he's done all these terrible things to women, and now he's screwed over Alon Shire. And how many things can you do?
Well, I mean, it just goes to see that the reason that Shia was so successful was not John Besh. It was Alon Shia. So that,
Right.
you know,
Right,
that
right.
will play
He's
through
a-
into
he's a
his new
badass.
restaurant, and it'll soon take effect. Because I mean, if you don't have the guy there.
Yeah, but to
You know.
Andrew's point, most people don't know that.
Oh, I think
You'll-
I think plenty of people.
I think people here know, but you go.
Oh, well, yeah.
You go to
No
Shire
one's
now,
anybody know,
and you
but-
go drive past it down Magazine Street. There's still people lined up outside,
Well,
and
it's-
he's not even there.
But to be fair, it really hasn't been that long. I mean, like this it'll
Right.
take a while for it to fizzle
No
out, and
matter-
for
No
one thing
matter
to overtake another.
who's working what restaurant, restaurants are hard to keep off the ground. My concern is that Alon Shia's restaurant doesn't get the notoriety, partly because it doesn't have his name. So I feel like the PR needs to be a push, but there also needs to be kind of a grassroots PR push to be like, hey, you know that name that we all learned? It's because of this guy, and that guy
Right.
has this restaurant, and that's why his name isn't on his restaurant.
Right.
You know,
I think
it
that's
just,
out there. That story is out there. But Saba is doing pretty well, from what I can
Great.
tell. That's
Okay.
also,
Yeah, I
I
have
need to
no,
go.
I have no
Gorgeous.
worries about Alon Shia.
Yeah.
and
Where
his
is Saba,
restaurant.
by the way?
It's
On the
on
corner of
Magazine,
Magazine
still
and
further
State
up, I
Street.
think.
Yeah,
it's
Magazine
up like
and
toward the
State,
park.
yeah.
Oh, Magazine
Yeah.
and State, where
Toward the
Reginelli's used to be.
no,
it's
that's State
Magazine
Street.
in
No, it's not
Nashville.
State Street. It's
Is it,
Nashville.
is it by
Nashville.
Yeah.
Izzo's?
Is it
It's
Nashville?
right across
Burrito?
from Cafe Luna.
Cafe Luna,
It
got
used
it.
to be.
Oh,
it used to
uh,
be
Pete
Kenton.
Tit.
It used to be
Uptown.
Kenton's.
Very
restaurant.
good.
Oh, yeah, okay,
And
okay.
then
I recommend
Kenton's
the whole,
disappeared
the
now.
whole.
Oh, Cannons. Yeah, I remember that.
It's
yeah,
really
like,
good.
covered in ivy.
Is it
That place?
No, that's called Arvo now. That was Martinique. I know too much about
I don't know
uptown
what you're talking
restaurants.
Dude, I live
Yeah.
downtown. Coming uptown is like
I'm in Mid City.
it's a whole different.
You live
Right?
downtown? Where do you live?
I live on Julia Street.
Okay, how do you like that lifestyle?
I've been there ever since I moved to town, so
Really?
that was
Now,
it.
you're an early adopter of the downtown lifestyle.
Yeah, I used to get pissed about the gentrification until somebody told me that I was the gentrification.
Ah,
And they're
yeah.
like,
And
wow.
and that was live on radio. Like
Oh,
and they were
no.
like, "No, dude, you don't understand. You are the gentrification." And there was that moment on radio when I just like stopped and realized, "Damn, crap, motherfucker, you're right." And that was 2005.
Come over to my place, though. It's really
you know?
cool. I promise you.
Well,
I'll
have
make
you
it.
personally?
I'll let you use my bathroom.
My
Have
pool
you
is
destroyed?
great.
Have you destroyed Julia Street? I mean, Julia Street wasn't anything
Yeah,
to
how,
be.
how does the CBD get gentrified?
Well, I mean, it was when I first moved in. I mean, you're from New Orleans, right? I mean, it was like it was still, that area was still drive by. I mean, people still went to Julia Street because
but-
that's where the galleries
but
were. But
gentrification is
it
what
was
happens to a neighborhood when you destroy it, and it had people living in it, and now people who live there can't live there because it's. been
well, I mean, I
fixed
get
up.
that's
But
one
nobody
way.
was
I mean,
living down
it
there.
was. I mean, but I consider it gentrified because it was all machine shops and it was really cool industrial stuff.
Right.
It was there were still machine shops. There was still a lot of that industrial stuff that was, and it
Yeah.
made me feel good because I was like, oh, look, it's shit's still made in America, you know, and
Until
there
you kicked
was
them out, now they're-
and then it was then it
now
just
they're in
became all
Canada.
condos and yeah, so.
But you can at least you can go and get a cup of coffee now, and you
Yeah.
can go
I've
get
seen you driving your
vegetarian.
one-wheel skateboard.
Yeah, now I
down
got the
street.
skateboard.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
so
how I
cool.
got-
The one-wheel
I have the
thing?
one
No,
wheel
it's so
skateboard.
awesome. I was passing. I was
Do you
going
have
to
one of
work.
those?
I was going to work one morning, and I passed by you on my scooter, and I was like, "Oh, dude, that's way cooler than my motor
Do you have one of those
transportation."
one wheel Thanks.
that's how
It's
I get
electric,
around.
right?
It's an
Gee,
electric
really?
skateboard. Yeah, it's
Electric
how I get
skateboard with
around.
that big fat
It's
wheel.
one big fat
tire in the
wheel.
middle.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
So cool.
And,
So you might be the coolest guy in New Orleans.
No,
Wouldn't
no,
you say?
no. I think
The
Andrew,
HIV doctor
Andrew
who plays in the
definitely
band
is.
and he's got a one-wheel
JP
skateboard.
is or Jackson is, without question.
I just got to tell you before we get out of here, Basic Swim and Gym are one of the companies that made our show possible today, where you can get a full range of fashion swimsuits and workout and yoga clothes with style. Basic
I'd like to see
Swim
JP
and
in that
Gym.
after he
does look good in
waxes.
that.
After he waxes with that
And wait till
sweatsuit,
else, what
that
else
would
you can
look
get. They're
so
right
good.
next to the lingerie store.
Yeah.
Basics underneath.
Oh,
on Magazine
then
Street.
you could do the lingerie
Just
too.
down
That'd
from
be-
Saba, actually. And thanks to the Hangover Destroyer, which is the only natural product, medically proven, by the way, medically proven, doctor, to prevent a hangover. If you go to hdestroyer.com and you write happy hour
you bring us some
coupon
samples?
code,
Doctor,
you
did you
can
bring
get
some samples of
30%
that?
off.
You
Yeah,
know,
I can
the
give you
only
a free sample
the
of that.
medical proven. I have
Medically
the cure.
proven.
I have the cure. I tell you, it's
For
very
hangover.
easy. Yeah, just don't drink.
Well, that's the same as saying not having sex. Well, not,
Exactly, Doc.
that's
Kids
the-
are still going to go out and drink.
Yeah.
Well, you're going to drink
That's
and
not gonna
fuck
help.
all night.
But you can't say it's the only medically proven.
Yeah.
You know,
You're right.
It says right
that's
here.
why it's called safe sex.
This says right here, the only
not-
all-natural product. And thanks to the Positive Vibrations Foundation, who create and encourage community through the development and preservation of the arts, music, culture, and heritage. And if you'd like to be a part of our Patreon family, go to patreon.com and search for It's New Orleans Happy Hour. And for as little as $1 a month, you too can be a part of our Patreon family and have access to all sorts of exclusive stuff that the average person like you doesn't normally get to hear. Like, I'm not exactly sure what that is, but Asher Griffith can tell you about the whole thing if you pay attention
Support
to
these
that.
guys.
Yes.
Support.
It is nice to
Support
be
local
part of our Patreon
media.
family. Thank you very much. Hey, Dr. Michael Anderi has been here,
Thank you.
and Jackson Purvis has been here, and John
Thank
Paul
you so
Carmody
much.
have been here from the band South Jones.
Thank you
Andrew
so much.
Duhon and I have been here again. And so it's World AIDS Week.
That's right.
If you'd like to help out with World AIDS Week, where do you go?
Celebrate.
What do you
yeah,
do?
Go get an HIV test. And,
That's a good idea. Get an Insti.
Get an Insti test.
We should
and then,
do it.
And then Hamfest is this Saturday night
HAMP.
at Hamfest at Siberia, and we'll be doing HIV testing all night long at Siberia. So
Can
right
you tell us
outside.
the date of that? That's Saturday,
That's,
December,
December 8th.
The 8th,
December the
2018.
8th.
If you
Yep.
listen to this at some other point, you'll have to go to whiv.org. for information.
WHIVFM.org or
WHIVFM.
the Facebooks has
Okay.
HAMP 2018 HAMPfest.
And we
You
have
can
links
search
to all this on our website, itsneworleans.com as well. Thank you so much for being here,
Thank
everybody.
you.
That's
Thanks a lot,
Happy Hour
Greg.
for another week. Our producer is Graham DePonte. Our music producers are Christian Unruh and Monique Pyle. Thomas Walsh is our technical director, and Asher Griffith is our Facebook live feed director, who put this whole thing on Facebook. Andrew Sirak is our fact checker and social media connector, and our theme music was written by and is currently being played by Mitch Foreman. If you'd like to be on our show and you can stay upright for about an hour while drinking alcohol or doing acid, drop us a line. Our address is on our website, itsneworleans.com. You can also check out many other hours of Happy Hour on itsneworleans.com, as well as some other shows you make around here, including Out to Lunch with Peter Raschuti, live from Commander's Palace, Louisiana Eats with Poppy Chocolate, and our award-winning podcast about death, which is called Death the Podcast. You can also find other great Louisiana podcasts at itsacadiana.com and itsbatonrouge.la. You can keep up with us on a bunch of time-sucking social media, like, for example, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and all of it we're called It's New Orleans. You can find photos from this show on itsneworleans.com and on our It's New Orleans Facebook page and Instagram account. These photos were taken today by Jill LaFleur. You can find more of Jill's photos at lafleurphoto.com. What comes next? If you're listening to this on your favorite podcast app, thank you for subscribing to us. Take a moment, if you've got one, to rate and review us. That helps other people find us. If you listen to us on Spotify, you can follow us and get Happy Hour delivered to you each week. The show is recorded live today at Wayfair on Ferret Street in Uptown New Orleans. Happy Hour is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For Andrew Duhon, everyone else around the table here at Wayfair and back at our office at INO Broadcasting. Thanks for joining us. I'm Grant Morris. I'll see you back here next week for one more show for 2018. More Happy Hour.